a minute or two.
Sorry.
A few more people jump on here, so we'll get going in just a minute. So thanks for everybody for making a few minutes for not only myself but our special guest today, Ari. So our franchise, one of our wonderful franchisees. See if my words will work today. Sometimes on Fridays they don't come out very well. Oh, all righty.
Either mic doesn't work on Fridays or Zoom doesn't work. We don't know which
There's
one's going to
something.
be until it happens.
We all got to get these fancy mics like Jared. We don't know where to buy those though. I don't think Casey approved those in the budget this year. Maybe next year.
It's actually, I actually got it from this really cool website.
Oh, I see it now.
Amazon.
Oh, yeah. Never heard of it.
Yeah. I don't know if they have that stuff that far north, but
yes. Yeah, they don't have it in Michigan. That's right. I try to convince my wife of that, but that doesn't go very far.
Don't tell her about Amazon.
Yeah. It's more the teenagers that have Amazon that somehow stuff gets shipped. But anyway, we'll stop boring everybody with my my shopping habits of my family. But awesome. Well, we'll go ahead and get started, everybody. Thanks for again making time for us today. This is always one of my favorite calls that we do every month with one of our franchisees. And it's a great opportunity for everybody on the call today to hear it out of the horse's mouth, right? The good, the challenges, the ups, and sometimes the downs of a business. And excited today to have Ari here with us. She is in Virginia, and is super excited. Ari, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you are welcome. I would always love to start in the beginning. Let's start way back 2+ years ago when you were like, holy cow, let's look at this home care business. What is this all about? Please share with the audience a little bit about you, your background, and kind of what drove you into looking at this type of business.
Sure. Well, I was originally a nurse, straight out of college. I just went into nursing. I worked as a nurse. I did that. So right now it's maybe 14 years of being a nurse. So I kind of just came from a healthcare background. And at some point I just kind of fell out of it just because of the whole bureaucracy of being in the hospitals. A lot of the things I started not enjoying anymore. So I decided, let me just go into business. And I remember at the time, everybody was flipping, right? So I'm like, let me try this.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where kind of the whole business came out of me was, okay, let me just try something else, because the whole working in the hospital, the long hours, I had my daughter at the time, it just didn't fit my lifestyle anymore. So I did that for a while and I just didn't love it. And I really missed that human interaction feel that I had with nursing. And that's when I started looking into just having the best of both worlds. In my eyes was just doing something that involved the nurturing side and the caring side of me, but also being able to control what I do, when I do it. And that's where I said, all right, let me look into how I can make this happen. I started doing some research, and I saw that there was the silver economy. And I said, okay, if I'm going to go into something that's related to caring for people in need, it has to be for the elderly, because the need was there. So I started vetting different companies and I landed with HomeWell. And I can talk a little bit about more. I don't know if that's going to be part of your questions of why I chose HomeWell, but I can go into
please roll right in.
Some
my mind here, Ari.
details of why I chose HomeWell. So I did vet a lot of the other franchise, I guess, competitors, in the market. I met with Right at Home. I met with Bright Star. The other one I think was Home Helpers, and then HomeWell. I think those were the ones that I spoke to, and HomeWell just aligned more with what I believed in. I'm going to be honest, some of them, I didn't feel like their heart was in the right place. And I'm not just saying that because I'm part of HomeWell now. I'm saying that because at the time I was a third party, and I really felt like HomeWell really did have its heart in the right place. And that's just what I believed in with my background. So after speaking with, I think it was Daniel at the time, I spoke with him. I just liked what HomeWell stood for, the compassionate part, the trust part, what we stand for. I really believed in that. And that's how I kind of so decided that HomeWell was going to be the franchisor that I worked with.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, it's everybody looks at this and you named 3 competitors that they all do a good job. I'm not going to sit here and say none of them don't do a good job because I think they really do. I think that speaks to your experience with as you go through that education process with each of them. And in speaking to everybody that's listening to this call, that's part of it, right? You have to have that feeling inside that aligns with who you are and what you are. And does that other company you're looking at, do they match that?
Right.
Because you said you're starting a business, but you're relying on the franchisor to help you, right? And we'll get into a little bit of that, but that those two have to align. And part of that, especially when it comes to home care, is
Mhm.
is the heart, right? I mean, you can see it in our name. You have to have that piece. And then
Mhm.
both of those have to align. We talk a lot about that with candidates as they go through our education process. It's got to be a good fit on both sides. This
Mhm.
is definitely not a one-way street. So you made the decision to join HomeWell. Um, Talk about your transition from, nursing and being able to apply those skill sets to running your business. Obviously, that has grown and changed over the years as your business has grown. But what did that look like maybe in the beginning for you? How did you make that transition? Because we get a lot of people that ask us, hey, I have a nursing background or I have a background in healthcare, but I've never ran a business per se like this. So talk a little bit about that.
Oh boy, you definitely need a balance in between because I started off as a nurse mentality, be nurturing and kind, which is a very important piece of it. But then you need that balance of saying, okay, I'm a businesswoman now and I need to do this and it needs to be this way. It's a challenging business because you're dealing with people. You're working with a lot of people. That's how we make our business is with the people that we hire. And I would say I learned very quickly, and I think it was learning from other franchisees as well, which I really appreciate with HomeWell is that we get to connect with other franchisees that really chime in and let you know. Like I think it was Vaishali that said, fire fast when someone's not working out, because it can be costly with time and everything and in your resources. So if someone doesn't have their heart in the right place, being able to identify that, because you want your clients to really have the right fit and the right match, and being able to have that compassionate piece, but being able to say, okay, this person may not be the right fit for my company. And that boils down to, I think, sticking to your culture. And that was part of, I remember the process of knowing your why, that HomeWell really helped me with identifying what my why was from the very beginning. And my why, I remember, was the culture, maintaining what I felt my culture was going to be. And the minute somebody didn't fill that culture, it was above everything. It
Yeah.
was, okay, you don't fit the culture, you don't fit what I believe my clients deserve, and being able to identify that. So that's one of the things I had to learn coming from a nursing background. You love everybody, good and bad. So you would let things slide. And then eventually I said, okay, you're running a business here and you need to sell quality. You need to represent quality, and you have to be able to identify and be able to let people go sometimes that aren't representing what you believe in.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, one of the questions we always get, to be honest, is, well, how do you attract and retain your staff, whether it's caregivers or internal, right? And I think you hit it on the head. We talk a lot about culture. I know internally we talk a lot about culture because that's the foundation of who we are. We are a people business. So I
Mhm.
think, with that, how did that help you be successful when once you kind of said, this is what we're doing? How did it help you from a staffing side to be able to weed out those maybe that didn't fit that culture, or maybe retain people that you probably, when you looked at it on the surface, these are the people that fit us. So from a staffing side, how did that help once you really honed in on that part of your business?
It was a learning process. Definitely identifying when people were getting burned out. They may not, and it's not bashing anyone's personality per se. Sometimes they're just burned out and they need that support. And we actually, when we figured that out, we really modified our orientation completely.
Yeah.
And we put in all those key points in our orientation that when they walk in the door straight off the bat, I tell them straight up, if you aren't compassionate, if our clients can't trust you, don't even move forward with the orientation process.
Yeah.
Because clients are going to be challenging. They're going to say things that aren't, the nicest thing. They wouldn't need us if they were okay, right? We wouldn't have a business. So identifying that on your orientation process, I think is so key. And also putting in that slide or two where you're actually addressing, if you get burned out, if that client is becoming too much for you, if you're not happy anymore, you're not going to deliver good care, come to me, come to another staff that you feel comfortable with. Talk to them, let them know what's going on. Do you need a different client? Do you need a transition? Do you need a break? And being able to identify that, because when we didn't, the person would get burned out. They would say something they didn't need to, and then you'd lose the client. And that's the other side of things. It's so rewarding to be in this business, but then there are also challenges like everything in life. And I think being able to be a step ahead of all of it and being able to identify when someone's calling out sick a lot, it's like, okay, what's going on? Reaching out to them and having that compassionate piece, not only to your client, but to your staff also, and saying, is something going on? Do you need a break? And letting them know that you care about them too, has been, I think, what has helped us, honestly. We haven't had a call out, I think, in months, ever since I don't know if you've noticed that in our, on our numbers.
Yeah,
We have not had a call out. And all it took was adding that human piece. I didn't give them raises. I didn't give them, there was nothing else. It was nothing like science about it.
Yeah.
It was just literally adding that slide and letting them know to come to us if they needed a break or anything like that. And ever since we implemented that, I have not had a call out.
Yeah. And I think that's, again, we get at how do you can get good people. It's how do you keep them? And I think there's no magic formula. This is a people business. It's take care of your people is the best way we try to describe it. But I mean, you said it eloquently. It is that those simple little things that allow you to be successful in this business. It isn't rocket science. You're in it for the people. Just take care of them, whether they're your clients or your staff, right?
Yes.
I think that's very unique to this business model. And again, that's just a huge value that when you bring that to the table, it helps with all of those aspects. How is that translated to client acquisition? Obviously, when your staff is happy and they know they can rely on you, they feel like they're in a good place. How has that helped with client acquisition, or just maybe keeping clients from going to competitors? Because there are competitors out there.
Right. So we went through a phase where we were losing clients, and that's when we had to look at, okay, what's going on that was wrong. And I'm telling you, the clients that we have lost, it's because they passed away.
Yeah.
And then of course we ended up losing them. And it's client acquisition has been, honestly, I sit through every single hire. And it was Michelle Cohn that actually said this in one of her trainings, to make sure that your caregiver knows the owner. And I think that has helped, because they can come to me, they can call me, they can reach out to me and tell me what their problems are, because it trickles down, right? If I'm supporting them, it's that culture thing where now they're transferring that also to the client.
Yeah.
And knowing that there's that open door communication when now maybe life changes, something changes. Okay, give us that 2-week notice. Let's transition. Let's do a warm handoff.
Yeah.
You know, and what I will do is I'll have my current caregiver, if something does come up and they're burned out, life changes, now their kids maybe back to school, their hours change, life changes. I'll have that caregiver give a warm handoff to the new caregiver coming on. So that way it provides a smooth transition for the client. So it's just the human touch, honestly, and just providing that. It's like, what would I want, right?
Yeah.
That's what I would want. That's what I would want my parents to have. So I try to implement that. And I think that that's what helps retain our clients.
Mhm. So how you mentioned Michelle Cohn, who by the way is forgotten more about this industry than we'll probably ever know. She's an awesome resource, I think, for everybody, including us on our team. We use her a lot, and she's awesome. How has us as a franchisor helped you in your business? Like, can you define a couple of things that you would say, hey, as a new franchise owner coming in, here are some of the resources that HomeWell provides you. Make sure you take advantage of it.
I
Obviously, we're going to tell them to take advantage of everything, but the reality is you're not able to. So, especially in the beginning when you're learning how to run a business, right? So, what is that in your mind that maybe some of the tools that people should think about as they look at joining into our organization?
I think the vendors that the franchisors vet for us is definitely, you know, because there's so much out there and so much scam out there and all of that. So just having vendors and franchisees that have gone through what I've gone through
Mhm.
and they can provide that feedback. And I think that the franchisor does a great job, like with regionals, for example, where we come together and we talk about it. They are FBCs. Once I tell them I'm going through this, they'll connect me with somebody who's gone through it before and can provide their feedback, and saves me a lot of heartache, because I feel like, you know, I'm not alone and they've got a lot of knowledge that I can use and help me in my business, and connect me with people that may have similar markets
Mhm.
of my what my market is, because not everybody's market's going to be the same. So I
Mhm.
do love that the franchisor provides all these resources where you can now go and choose what fits my market, what's going to help my market more. And I was one of those people that was like, all right, let me just try it all and then narrow down to what works for me. So just the resources that I honestly probably wouldn't know of if I just decided to go on my own and try to do it.
You
Saved me a
mentioned,
lot of time.
yeah, no, 100, and that's the point,
Yeah,
right? That
years and years
our
of,
role in this is to
yeah.
make it as easy as possible for you to execute the business model. That's what our job should be and is, and that's what we need to focus on to support you and all of our franchisees as they continue to grow. You mentioned something that's very near and dear to my heart because I think they really help our franchise owners be successful, which is our franchise business coaches,
Mhm.
Stu and Brad and all of that team. How have they impacted you in your business?
Number one, they are my psychologists. So if I'm losing my mind for that day, they're people that I can turn to. Mine is Debbie. I think Brad was my initial one. Um, they will point you in the right direction. And there's so much peace that comes in that, because I don't know how I would be doing this on my own if I had to go and be stressed about something and then to have to figure out, you know,
Yeah,
what I need. And there's not one single person that I've been able to reach for that they're like, call me anytime you need something. You know, they don't care if you message them at night. They'll try to help you. And I really love that family piece of it, where the culture thing, you know, and I'm getting that from the franchisor, and I'm able to do that for my staff because I'm getting, you
yeah,
know, that support. So it's just priceless to have that when you're dealing with all the challenges of trying to figure out what works for your market, and being
yeah.
able to have that support.
Yeah, it's they do an incredible job. I know Again, when we talk to candidates, the biggest thing I always love to highlight, and I know our team does, is the support on the other side. And I think they're the leading edge of that because they care.
They do.
Everything they do, they wake up, eat, sleep, and breathe your success. And I think that is a key element into some of the support that we have to help you be successful. I just want to remind everybody, if you have any questions, please throw them in the Q&A chat box below. We'll try to get to those as we wrap up here. My last kind of topic I would love to talk about is advice. You've been now a few years here. You've gone through the good, you've gone through the challenges, and continue to do both. More good now than challenges because you're growing. You're doing an excellent job. What advice would you give to somebody that's maybe on the fence about going into this business, or if they say, "Hey, I'm going to go into it," here are the things to avoid or to do in the beginning that maybe I learned through my experience.
Okay. I would say definitely make sure your heart is in the right place. The owners that I've met with, the other franchisees, you can tell their heart is in the right place and they're there to help all of us, so I would say it's just one of those businesses where your heart just has to be in the right place because you'll have people calling you on the one end, they're losing their loved ones, they're very stressed. So one of the things that I do, I make sure my marketer knows nothing of what is going on with operations because you need that person to kind of be what the FBCs are for us,
Yeah.
because you have people that are calling you and dealing with very difficult, challenging moments and things that are going on in their life. So it's a very emotional business. So your heart really needs to be in it in order, I think, to provide the best quality care to the people that you're serving. So we're not selling a product, right? Like if the product breaks, okay, send it back and we'll send you a new one, So it's not that. It's really you have to care and the clients are looking for that. They're looking for people who care about what they're going through and that are going to provide them that peace of mind. So that's what I would say is the key from and it took me time to get there. I'm not gonna lie. In the beginning, there was a lot of logistics that I had to figure out. Okay, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna put this into place and all of that? But eventually, when all the dust settles, then you kind of like, all right, why am I doing this again? And then you kind of get back on track and
Yeah.
that's what fuels me.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is, right? We tell people, listen, this is a journey, it's a marathon.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen overnight, but as long as you're consistently get up every day, your heart's in the right place, you're doing the right things, you can be very successful in this industry. But it starts right there. It starts at the inner core of who you are, and you've obviously proven that, and we're so blessed to have you. I had one question come in. I think this is a great question. Um, Client acquisition. What is how has that changed? Well, one, how has it changed since you started? But two, what does that look like in your agency? You said you have a marketer. So talk a little bit about what does client acquisition look like in your agency?
We a lot in the beginning she did a lot of boots on the ground and going to assisted living and all of that. We do use a lot of secondary referral sources. So we get a lot of our clients from there. And that was just me learning my marketer and where her strength was. I found that she was very good on the phone because it came from her background. She was selling insurance policies. And when I saw that she was doing really well with that, I kept her there because she was doing well with closing the deals on the phone. So I think with client acquisition, depending on what your budget is and all of that, sticking with what you're best at, until you can kind of just venture out and do other things that also work, but you want to for me, I think I started with where our strengths were. And because she was selling insurance policies, she did very well on the phone. So we kind of stuck with that. And I think we're always on the list, I guess, with agent care. So she's doing a great job with closing those deals. So most of our clients are from secondary referral sources.
Yeah. And that's one of the beautiful things about this business model. It's not a one size fits all. There's different ways and to tailor it to you and your team's strengths in order to be successful, which allows multiple people to look at this and say, hey, I want to do it this way versus that way. And that's okay. Our job is to help support that and grow. Ari, I want to say again, thank you so much for joining us today. If anybody's on the call here and you're thinking about, you haven't talked to us yet from having a conversation with one of our team members here, give us a call. Let's chat. Let's see if this is the right opportunity. And for those that are maybe a little bit farther down the path and you want to talk to Ari during a validation call, I know she's always gracious with her time and sharing her challenges and her successes as well. So reach out, let us know. Ari, thank you again for your time today. It really was a pleasure, and look forward to seeing you next year at our conference live and in person. And I hope the end of the year treats you well. And it's the 1st of November, so are we happy holiday season? I don't know yet. We're getting there. We're getting there. So awesome, everybody. Thank you so much for everybody's time today.
Thanks.
We look forward to seeing everybody on our next webinar. Have a great day.
You take